T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you weren't our live chat, we do ask that you keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service reports for the platforms we're utilizing tonight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. So it is Wednesday night here on Global Watchman News. You know what that means? That means our highly esteemed panel, right, Ernie?
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Well, I do pay you a lot to be here.
Yeah, and if I don't show up, you take all my revenue. So
I do. I dox your pay. Of course I do. Of course. How you been?
Doing all right. I had a
You good?
day. How about yourself?
Doing okay. Do want to apologize for everybody for last week. We had some gnarly storms coming through Illinois last week, and I lost the internet. Didn't get it back till Friday afternoon. So,
Hey, yourself in the dryer? Yeah.
Who's that?
I'm gonna mute Hero. He never mutes. We're gonna mute. So I do want to apologize to everybody. So we got back with the panel. I guess we brought the band back together again after a couple of weeks. Big John, how have you been?
I've been well. It's your old pal back again one more time.
Yeah. Lots of things going on in the world, huh? You and I talked a couple of things during the week, and
Yeah.
oof.
Well, it seems like every option is on the table for a collapse of some kind.
Well, you keep telling us that we're in an 8-front war, and I keep seeing it more and more. It's like what is that game? Whack-a-mole.
Yeah, definitely.
You get one thing under control. Guys, I'm still watching Madam Secretary. And I got to tell you, if you guys haven't watched it over on Netflix, I would invest your time into watching it. I think it's 8 seasons. I have got such a clearer vision on how this world is run. It is such a give and take and quid pro quo, and I'll do this for you. They can't even get a pencil sharpener without giving a favor away.
That's exactly it.
It's crazy, So if you guys haven't watched it, I would definitely invest in the time into watching it. So, Hero, how you been? Oops, let's unmute Hero. How you been, Hero?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing good. What's been going on with you for the last couple of weeks?
Just preparing for the apocalypse as always.
Right, that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing that too. Getting on the, putting on the pounds and getting on the muscle and get ready to go out there and kick some Chinese butt. Not really.
Well, I feel like the most important thing in like apocalypse times is just being able to walk for like a very long period of time.
Yeah.
There's gonna be no vehicles, and all the vehicles are probably gonna be like piled up in the roads.
Yeah.
So you gotta be able to mantle them and stuff.
Yeah. I actually was watching some videos on YouTube. I guess the last couple of weeks. Have you guys seen how you can make a tent or a room out of a cellophane wrap?
No, actually.
I just sent it to you. So it's really interesting to watch.
I've been watching a lot about outdoor living.
Yeah. This then if that's the case, I'll send it to you. It's literally like saran wrap. Make the big things of saran wrap. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, I hope I don't think you like totally enclose yourself because you'd suffocate, but so I'll send that to you.
Be good insulation, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we're going to talk tonight about the topic is going to be literally how the Nazis won World War II. What's you guys' take? I mean, what are your opinions on it before we get into the meat and potatoes of it?
Definitely won it.
They won it? That's okay. So we've got one that they won. What about you, Aaron?
Yep.
Yeah. Hero?
I have no idea. There's like this thing that people wanted me to watch called The Battle for Europa on what's it called? Rumble. It was like 8 hours long. I was like, I watched like 30 minutes of it, fell asleep, couldn't get through the rest. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, you're young. Okay, let's face it. You're very young. I mean, have you done any research on World War II and Operation Paperclip and those topics?
Just like that, he didn't actually die. Like he faked his death or something like that. And he went to Argentina. That's really about it.
Yeah. Well, Operation Paperclip involves the importation of large numbers of known Nazi war criminals, rocket scientists, camp guards, etc. There was also an operation involving the Vatican. The U.S. State Department and the British intelligence took some of the worst Nazi criminals and used them at first in Europe. For example, Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Lyon, was taken over by U.S. intelligence and put back to work. Later, when this became an issue, some of his U.S. supervisors didn't understand what the fuss was all about. After all, we moved in, we replaced the Germans. We needed a guy who would attack the left-wing resistance, and here was a specialist. That's what he'd been doing for the Nazis, so who better could we find to do exactly the same job for us? When the Americans could no longer protect Barbie, they moved him over to the Vatican-run rat line, where Croatian Nazi priests and others managed to spirit him off to Latin America. There he continued his career. He became a big drug lord and narco trafficker and was involved in the military coup in Bolivia with U.S. support. But Barbie was basically small potatoes. This was a big operation involving many top Nazis. We managed to get Walter Ralph, the guy who created the gas chambers, off to Chile. Others went to fascist Spain. General Reinhard Gehlen was the head of German military intelligence on the Eastern Front. That's where the real war crimes were. Now, we're talking about Auschwitz and other death camps here. Gehlen and his network of spies and terrorists were taken over quickly by American intelligence and returned to essentially the same roles. If you look at the American Army counterinsurgency literature, a lot of which is now declassified, it begins with an analysis of the German experience in Europe, written with the cooperation of Nazi officers. Everything is described from the point of view of the Nazis, which techniques for control resistance worked, which ones didn't. With barely a change, that was transmuted into American counterinsurgency literature. This is discussed at some length by Michael McClintock in Instruments of Statecraft. The U.S. left behind armies the Nazis had established in Eastern Europe and continued to support them at least into the early 1950s. By then, the Russians had penetrated American intelligence, so the airdrops didn't work very well anymore. So it says here that the communists, but what if the communists still won? In its first report, NSC-1, the council made plans for the contingency that the U.S. would declare a national emergency, put the Sixth Fleet on alert in the Mediterranean, and support paramilitary activities to overthrow the Italian government. And it says that the person who opened up this topic was the same person that can verify through intelligence, through declassified information, that they know for a fact that he escaped to Argentina. Comments?
Exactly that.
Well, I'm going to show you guys something here. We've got declassified information, declassified documents. This comes from the Vault, FBI Vault.gov. And it says here, let's go up here, Federal Bureau of Investigation. This was written on September 21st, 1945. You can see it's redacted a lot. But there's a name right here. We don't know what that name is right here at the bottom. But it goes on to say that whoever that person was right here was one of 4 men who met Hitler and his party when they landed from 2 submarines in Argentina approximately 2.5 weeks. Got that? 2.5 weeks after the fall of Berlin. Federal Bureau of Investigation, their own redacted statements here, the redacted files, say that he actually went to Argentina. John, what do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, he did. He started out in Argentina. Well, just go back to the Antarctica deal with New Schwabenland. They ended up in Argentina also with the Antarctica expedition because of the giants. You know, Patagonia, land of the big feet, southern Argentina, and there's a mountain range beneath the water in between Argentina and Antarctica, and Hitler had a nuclear drill delivered long before like World War II even started, and that drill is nuclear powered, and it would cauterize the rock rather than try to remove it but it dug like 7 miles a day.
Wow!
So there is a tunnel from Argentina to Antarctica. So that whole operation has been in place since late 30s and to World War II. So, but yeah, to show up in Argentina when everything was falling apart for him, whether it was a planned extraction or he left because it was actually falling apart, is to be said. But the plan to go to Argentina did happen, and it was like a 10-year ahead of its time plan.
I know that a lot of the articles that I pulled up contradicted the whole, he went to Argentina. They're saying that they found tooth fragments in the bunker where him and Anna, was it Anna?
Eva Braun.
Eva Braun, where they supposedly died. But Hitler was very smart, very intelligent. He most likely had some teeth pulled from him and her to make it look as if, because I mean, when the Americans got there, it was pretty much destroyed, the area.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing is, everybody forgets about Ukraine and all this. Ukraine was Nazi controlled the entire time. There were no engagements of Russian and German forces down there. So that's where he had those submarines. He had 5 submarines that were the size of World War II class aircraft carriers. Not the Nimitz or nothing we got today. I'm talking about like, the old Lexington or the Yorktown. So those aircraft carriers weren't as big, but he had 5 U-boats the size of those in Ukraine at the ports. And there are numerous there are numerous stories and journals and paperwork that shows that the Nazis were moving assets to South America long before the Russians were down the street, and then we were down the street.
Right. And isn't it interesting that, we're seeing the things in Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly. Nazis, they never left. They've always been there.
They've always been there. And a lot of people are getting some flack on social media by bringing that topic up, saying that, they're on the side of Russia, of Putin, because of the Nazi and the Nazi influences that's been concurrent in the Ukraine.
100%. And I just want to say it. I know it's not on topic, but real quickly, the OKC bombing, the Ukraine Nazis had a little compound which Terry Nichols was part of. So Ukraine's always been involved in America false flags to take away our freedoms.
Right.
Just a note.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, this goes on, and it says, this person continued that the first sub came close to shore about 11 p.m. after it had been signaled that it was safe to land, and a doctor and several men disembarked. Approximately 2 hours later, the second sub came ashore, and Hitler, 2 women, another doctor, and several more men, raking the whole party, arriving by submarines. Approximately 50 were on board. By prearranged plan with 6 top Argentine officials, pack horses were waiting for the group, and by daylight, all supplies were loaded on the horses, and an all-day trip inland toward the foothills of the southern Andes was started. It's interesting because he had an odd interest in the Andes Mountains. It was almost as if, like you said, he had planned this for quite a while. And I think a lot of the time that we think that maybe he'd been down in Antarctica, that he may have been in Argentina preparing for this.
100%. Yeah, he had that tunnel built underneath the water. And then Andes Mountains, they have a lot of stories just like Tibet has. And I know we talked the podcast before that he had a lot of Tibetan soldiers that were in the SS during World War II. So yeah, him and mountain ranges were definitely, he knew what was there.
And isn't it strange also that a lot of the places that Hitler was interested in today have a lot of UFO activity?
100%. Well, he had the Anunnaki looking for that stuff, like I said, way before World War II. Before he ever invaded Poland, he had the Anunnaki already basically, they had years, probably at least 6 years, at 7 different sites before he even had the, launch a blitzkrieg. So right. Very, very smart.
Yeah. He was very tactical.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It says this person, and again, it's redacted, maintains that he can name it the 6 Argentine officials and also the names of the 3 other men who helped Hitler inland to his hiding place. This person explained that he was given $15,000 for helping in the deal. $15,000 back in this time was quite a significant amount of money he was paid.
Definitely.
It said explained that he was hiding out. And okay, what is this? For helping in the deal. Somebody explained to somebody else that he was hiding out in the United States now so that he could later tell how he got out of Argentina. He stated to whoever that is that he would tell his story to the United States officials after Hitler's capture so that they might keep him from having to return to Argentina. He further explained to this person that the matter was weighing on his mind and that he did not wish to be mixed up in the business any further. According to this person, Hitler is suffering from asthma and ulcers, has shaved off his mustache, and has a long butt on his upper lip.
So what business was he referring to again?
I think it was the business of hiding Hitler out. I think he didn't want any part of it after that.
Okay.
It says according to this person, says this person gave the following directions to somebody else. If you go to the hotel in San Antonio, Argentina, I will arrange for a man to meet you there and locate the ranch where Hitler is. It's a heavily guarded, of course, and you will be risking your life to go there. If you do go to Argentina, place an ad in the Examiner stating blank called Hempstead 8458. And I know that you are on your way to San Antonio. Hempstead 8458. Why have I heard that before? That was a code for something else, wasn't it?
What was it again?
Hempstead 8458.
Hempstead. Isn't that Air Force Base?
It up now.
I'm gonna 8458 Hempstead 8458. It sounds familiar.
Pretty sure Hempstead's Air Force Base.
I know it just comes up something. It comes up. It's not even English. I can't read it. But yeah. So, all right, let's see. So in 1945, he escaped from Berlin to Argentina. And wasn't the movie the boys from, what is it? The boys from, there was a movie.
The Boys from Brazil?
Yeah, wasn't the Boys from Brazil? Wasn't that had to do with Hitler?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because most of your presidents of all the South American countries were all German descent. Chile, Bolivia, all the presidents like in the 70s and 80s, they were all from German families. The ones who, basically all the Nazis.
Wow.
And then Brazil, Joseph Mengele went there, and there was actually towns that were all twins and all,
Right, the twins. That's it. Okay,
so,
that's right.
Yeah, because they have Brazilians that have blonde hair and blue eyes.
Right.
That's where that came from.
Right. So while Hitler was, making his escape in the submarines down to Argentina, the United States was pulling the rest of the German scientists basically over to the United States. John, what was the Nuremberg trial? Was that just for smoke and mirrors? Was that just to appease the public?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because no real high-ranking Nazi or SS even stood trial. There might have been, I think, one, but I think that was just to appease everybody.
It was, definitely.
Wow. Here's a list of German aerospace engineers. I don't think people realize that there are so many government agencies that the United States that has been created from these evil Nazi scientists. A list of government aerospace engineers in the United States. It says the following list contains names of engineers, scientists, and technicians specialized in rocketry who originally came from Germany but spent most of their careers working for NASA's space program in Huntsville, Alabama. Particularly after World War II, many engineers left Germany to pursue further rocket projects in the U.S. The majority had been involved with the V2, I can't pronounce it, Penny Monday? Does that sound familiar to you? And 127 of them eventually entered the U.S. through Operation Paperclip. They were also known as the von Braun Group. Before and after Operation Paperclip, other German experts arrived in the U.S., individual immigration without government links, and would only later join various space programs, including primarily NASA. So Werner von Braun, who is best known for his work with NASA, prior to that was a Nazi.
100%. He was SS too.
He was SS. Oh wow.
Hey Lori, I put a couple of things in side chat.
Okay.
It could be explaining the Hempstead 8458. It's a story about an informant that got notified about the whereabouts of Hitler, and the reporter was to put an ad in a local paper, and then called Hempstead 8458. These were during the times before all number dialing, which meant that Hempstead was the location of the network, and the number was the last 4 digits of the actual phone number to let the man know to make the arrangements.
That makes sense, because back in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s, back in the 60s and 70s, when you would dial a phone number, you would have letters or words before the number. So that makes sense. Okay, that's what it would be. Because I can remember ours was like HF4, I don't even know, but it was numbers and letters were your phone number. Okay, no worries. So we got Werner von Braun. He's the director of the Marshall Space Flight Center, Huntsville, Alabama, from July 1st, 1960 to January 27th, 1970. So for 10 years, we had an SS, a Nazi, heading up our space program.
Yeah, and Alabama, of all things, that's where all the weird stuff happens, around Huntsville and everything. So that I know when us and Trish used to talk about it. But yeah, so people forget about the Redstone Arsenal and the space program out of Alabama. Like for a long time in the 50s through the 70s, there were so many things. I mean, there's lots of weird stuff coming from that part of it. I know it's Alabama, but there's lots of really interesting things that happened out of that place.
Wow. I'm just looking. I some of the names that pop out. Kurt DuBois. That sounds familiar.
Well. The thing is, von Braun came out publicly, and this is why he, was the head of it, because he was the only one ever to admit that we got our technology from other dimensional beings off this world. That's why he was put in charge.
Wow.
I thought he believed in flat Earth. That's what he put on his tombstone. Hi, everybody. I'm back.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. Interdimensional. He claimed interdimensional, like when he first took over, that we got this technology from off-world. Now, if you want to say, be technical, if you're saying off-world because they're the planets and stuff, that's a whole different argument. But that's the only reason why he was the most popular, because he said from the beginning, this isn't our stuff. This is somebody else. This is these beings that we contacted, with the Third Reich.
And again, we've talked about, them opening up portals, interdimensional beings coming through. We've talked about Hellboy. The first 20 minutes of Hellboy is probably more truth than any other movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it says so after the war, okay, after everything, the United States went in and liberated Berlin. They pretty much gave they gave a free pass to all of these Nazi criminals in exchange for them to come over here and for them to, they started the CIA. They started NASA. They went into a lot of our colleges and taught a lot of the specialty courses, a lot of the professors. They came in and they got involved in the pharmaceutical companies here in the United States. They got involved in the American Medical Association. They got involved in the American Psychiatric Association. They got involved with the public school systems. So when you say that Nazis lost the war, essentially they didn't, did they, guys?
No, they just assimilated America into the Fourth Reich.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bayer Pharmaceuticals, they're the ones who designed Zyklon B, the gas used to drop into the showers, you know. I mean,
right.
We're over here popping back and body Bayer aspirin, and it's you know, they're making Zyklon B.
I mean, you also got to understand who was backing Hitler.
Oh, America.
Rothschilds. He was always
the Catholic Church, Rothschilds,
the Vatican, all of them. Yeah.
Big automotive industry giants and oil.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was protected through all fronts.
Do you guys think that the entire World War II, and let me see if I can put this in a way that doesn't sound crass or insensitive. I understand that millions of lives were lost. I get that. But do you think that possibly Hitler was paid to run a psyop alongside of the war?
Ooh, I got something on that.
Go ahead. I want to hear what you got.
Okay. Let's get y'all get on y'all's little tinfoil hat, okay? Because you're going to need it. All right. So I worked about 3 years on a Disney documentary, okay? And in this documentary, I teased everyone that I was going to come back with a part 2, which I really haven't. But essentially, what I'm fixing to bring up is what I wanted to cover in the part 2. And I just really didn't know how to make the video about it. The stuff that I found out when I was researching Disney was, one, he just shows up out of nowhere during this orphan train stuff, okay? Fake birth certificate. I found the real birth certificate. Everything about him's a lie, just lie after lie after lie, okay? The guy go through the whole first 18 years of his life, and it's like a million lies, isn't it, Lori?
Yes.
But the thing is, everybody thinks that he was in the war, but he wasn't in the war. But I started noticing, comparing the stuff between him and Adolf Hitler, okay? And he goes over there, and he goes over to the war like a few days after the war ended, okay? After the war had ended. And this is World War I. So if you sit down with all the maps and all the timelines and all the documentation and all the, like I did, you see that he was real close to Hitler during this time, you know, many times. And there's sometimes when he actually went AWOL and just disappeared and left his truck for the Red Cross and almost got court-martialed, and some big player had to come pull strings to get him out. So as I started researching it, the more I researched, the more stuff I found. I began to believe that this CIA was formed way before even people realized, even before the OSS. I believe it was formed even before the official OSS, okay? So, which was the precursor to the CIA. And I propose that, and I've been putting this together, and I don't have all the sauce, but I have a lot of it, okay? So I propose that I can make these connections. So I think the original guy that was here, and I can almost prove it in photographs too, was the original guy that was here, Disney. He was kind of young, right? And he was like a fake person. I don't know, because his birth certificate, everything's fake about him, okay? So when he went over to France, I think that they switched out with whoever that was the Adolf Hitler, because Adolf Hitler was actually in the hospital and he was blind. He was blinded, okay, at the same time, right? So then all of a sudden the pictures of Disney look totally different. And see, you can find in all of Hitler's stuff these Disney pictures that are Walt Disney's original drawings, okay, that he had, you know. So but I could just go for hours talking about this to convince y'all. You'll have to watch my documentary and you'll see everything I'm talking about. But I think that it started sooner than that. I think there was an operation going on. I think Disney was part of it. So, and you know, I don't know if these orphan train kids had something to do with this. I don't know. It's kind of weird that it's the same time, 1890, 1891, you know. And so when he was really born, supposedly. So it looks to me like they had an operation going on. He goes over there. I think they switch out. I think it's been a show since the whole time. And I know it happened. I know millions of Jews died. I know they did a reset and just wiped these people out. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying that Hitler was a actor. He was an actor. He was playing a part, and this is a bigger operation. So when World War II started, okay, I proposed that one, the Nazis and they were all already won. Okay, they were already won, I believe. And then they started. So they had the OSS, which was Ray Donovan. Okay, Wild Bill Donovan, I guess is what they called him. Well, he did all this stuff, and he started this OSS with the Illuminati families. And I've got a video on YouTube that talks all about the whole history of the OSS. It's a history video, okay, actual history video, and it even says that the 12 families are who they chose the employees to start this OSS with. Okay, that's what they started, and so then the OSS went and they merged into the CIA. Well, when they merged into the CIA, they kicked him to the curb. Okay, the founder to the curb. All right. And when they did, but they still have a statue as the founder, but they didn't let him in the CIA. They kicked him to the curb. And then so they brought in the people that they wanted from the OSS. And then they also brought in the Nazis over from the war and infiltrated them into the CIA. So, as y'all know, the CIA has been Nazis from the very beginning,
Right.
But I propose that it was even that the Nazis and all these players, I propose that they've been even more than history says, even more than before the OSS. I think this started back in World War One. Okay, so and I've got some really good reasons and some pretty good evidence. I can't wait to finish my video and put it all together. I just haven't figured it all out yet, to be honest with you.
Where's
but,
not to interrupt, where's the video that you show about the OSS? Is it, you said it's up on your channel?
What?
Is it up on your YouTube channel?
You cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not
the video you have on the OSS, is it up on your YouTube channel?
It's not my video, but I can find it and send it to you.
How long is it? Do you know?
Yeah, it's pretty long, but that first part of it's the part you want to hear. It would be great on the show. Let me put you on mute and I'll go.
Yeah, okay. Try to find it for me, and I'll play it for us, because I'm really interested, because I do believe that Hitler was running another psyop along World War II. I think that they were. I think that he was put into place. He was put there to gain information. He was there to send his troops out to gather whatever they can, as far as with all the esoteric technology that he ended up procuring. And I know, Johnny, that's what you feel too, right?
Yes, definitely. I think he wanted enough stuff to be totally unstoppable. Well, whether it was him or whoever was running him, that's a pretty good theory about Walt Disney and everything, because a lot of Disney's Fantasia is based on the old Icelandic, that Edis code that Hitler was so infatuated with. That's why they would go to Tibet and measure all their faces and all that, because they believed that those were the original Germanic people.
Right.
With Disney, all of their movies, their older movies and cartoons were based off of occultic principles.
Well, Hitler actually did some of the artwork for Walt Disney. Did you guys know that?
I did not know.
When Anne comes back, she discovered a lot tying Disney in with Hitler. I think I remember her saying that Hitler did a lot of the designs, like the first rough drafts of like Mickey Mouse and stuff like that was based off of his designs.
I know Hitler had the Spear of Destiny in his possession. He wrote that he was possessed in Berlin with it.
Wow. Interesting.
I
wonder where that spear is now. I'm pretty sure it's at the Vatican or the Smithsonian.
One of them's got it. I know there was an old LAPD detective that turned into a driver for a real powerful guy in Los Angeles, and that guy saw it, the driver, and he said it wasn't like extravagant looking, but he goes, I was told that was a spare Laurinaitis or whatever, and they would all like bow down around it and everything. And that he drove for that guy for years. And the guy's like, look, whenever you want to write a book, he goes, I'll even publish it for you. He goes, nobody will ever believe you, but because I like you, I'll publish your book of the tell-all. So that's how like arrogant that guy was.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, I know a lot of the scientists they brought over that, they, some of them were even, I found scientists, their scientists were involved in the Manhattan Project. and the first
Oh,
atomic
100%.
bomb.
Well, the V2 rockets, even to get a rocket to land within 5 miles of a target. I don't know. I forgot what the V2 actual specs were, but see, the rocket came from the Vimanis in the Hindu culture, because the Vimanis would fire rockets at each other. They came out with ICBMs. So I mean, the technology from that definitely came from the ancients, whether they talked to dimensional or found whatever through the Anunnaki. But there's even, I remember I mentioned before on the Bayou Tapestry about the Battle of Hastings. There's an ICBM being fired from a UFO on the artwork.
Wow. It's just, it's so deep when you start, because it's all, I mean, Jack Parsons was involved.
Parsons Hubbard, all of them knew about
Parsons Hubbard, the Jet Propulsion Lab, that was all tied in together. Manhattan Project. It's interesting that that these scientists were given carte blanche to technology that we were supposedly hiding from them.
Well, here's a little known thing. Nobody really talks about Germany's conquest of North Africa. Everybody always thought it's because of the oil fields, and it may have been, but the refining was very, very seldom in that part of the world for, to put fuel in the tanks. But I mean, you got to think, why did he keep Rommel there with, 5 or 6 armor divisions? There was so much artifacts coming out of North Africa that, because that campaign was early on, and you could say Rommel was defeated, but was he? Because as far as I know, any kind of history book, whether it was, fake or not, it always said that Germany occupied, and Hitler always said that he loves Muslims. They would easily help him rather than the Allied forces.
Wow.
But, the whole Hitler story and all of this stuff, especially with the weapons that he created and his obsession with the occult. Have you guys seen the original Captain America movie?
No.
From the MCU?
No.
Well, Captain America's villain was Red Skull. Red Skull ran a division of the Nazis called Hydra, and that's the division where they created all these weaponries from esoteric and stuff like that. It just coincided with the truth that is being hidden from us right now.
Wow.
If you get a chance to, Lori, I would recommend watching that, because it opens your eyes about a lot of things. Obviously, there's some fiction stuff in there, but there's also a lot of truths for it as well.
Exactly. Yeah, Selenium says something very strange happened during World War II, and things haven't been the same since. I honestly do believe that they're because during that time we had the Manhattan Project, we had the chair, the time travel chair, we had all of these scientific I don't even know, projects that were going on in secret, opening up and using this esoteric knowledge and these occult technologies. They could have messed timelines. I mean, if I would have said that 5 years ago, I probably would have thought of myself insane. But knowing what I know now and knowing the timelines do exist, they very well could have messed with a couple timelines.
Lori,
think about it, Lori. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's
Ron. Fine. If you really think about it, World War II was just a distraction.
Yeah.
For them releasing and uncovering some of the things that they needed to uncover in the dark.
I think it was a big information gathering psyop.
How much land can you find out, Lori, was taken between the years of 46 through about 53 from the New Mexico state line on over to Nevada? You'll be real interested to find out how much land was taken.
Are you
by
talking
the
about
government.
for the grounds for
Yeah.
the testing grounds?
Why was it all seized at that time? Because they confiscated all the indigenous tribes at Stargates.
That makes sense.
I sent that video. Did you get it?
Where'd you send it to, hon? My phone?
I texted it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's what you're going to want to hear is going to be in the first 2 minutes. So, first 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, give me a second. I've got to send it to Ernie. I got to send it over on Facebook. Just a second.
I'm just a dump truck for all Lori's information.
Stop it. Stop it. Careful. All right, let's pull this up. You said the first couple of minutes of it?
Mm-hmm. It talks about, well, the whole thing is fascinating, I thought, because I'm a nerd, but it specifically talks about how this was formed by the Illuminati families.
Wow.
And so you have the OSS formed by Donovan, okay, with the Illuminati families, which, this is just in the history, it's just a fact. And then, you see what happens. They all go to the CIA.
Before I play this, I want to ask you, because while you were out looking for it, we were continuing a conversation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say that a lot of Disney's early sketches and early artwork was based off of or done by Adolf Hitler himself?
Well, okay. First of all, they found Walt Disney's original artwork, his original sketches of Pinocchio, Sleepy Doc, Dopey, like 4 of them, and so they were hidden in the back of one of Hitler's own artwork that he did, because he was a cartoonist also, right? And if you look at the painting that Hitler did of the castle, he did it's called, I don't know how to say it, Neuschwanstein Castle in Bavaria, that castle. Well, I know I slaughtered it, but that's the same castle like the Disney in Disneyland. It's the same castle. And also there's all kinds of pictures with Disney with that castle, with as well. And Hitler painted it, and then Hitler ended up with the original copy of Snow White. The movie was in German. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
And Hitler owned that, had access to that. He owned that. He was obsessed with Disney, and so they said supposedly their backstory is that people just always gave him gifts of that because he was obsessed with it, But I can't. Cause here's the deal. I saw it when I was investigating Disney. Of course, I had to look at the fact that some people said that Disney was Hitler, which I thought was just ridiculous. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't even want to look at this. This is stupid. Okay, so I went in there just like, no, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, well, first of all, right off the bat, they're across the oceans from each other. Second of all, there's an 11-year age difference. All right, so I'm counting that out, right? Well, then I start digging around and find out that, Disney's not born in 1901. He's born in 1990, actually just a few months from Hitler's birthday. All right, with this fake birth certificate. But this person's listed as the exact same day and year as supposedly Disney's brother was also born, so it's really confusing on who is who,
I remember you was talking about that, and you're like, I can't figure it out.
The thing is Disney's older brother actually looks to me like Hitler. He actually was the spot clean one, never got a lot of spotlight. It was a postman, but he's the one that actually looks to me like Hitler, that he could have played as Hitler. And I found, yes, his oldest brother, and I also found pictures and photographs of him. It's very hard to find photographs of him, but and the photographs, listen to this, the photographs of when he's younger they're rare. You can't hardly find any with Disney and with his mom and dad, right? But when you do, they look all olive skinned, dark skinned and everything. His older brother looks all olive skinned, and everything. Then when you find the pictures of him when he's older, he's like all blonde and he looks like Hitler, okay, but he's blonde, okay. And I found these glasses, a picture of him wearing these glasses, these little round glasses. Well, I also found, and it took forever because Hitler didn't want any pictures to show of him having weaknesses at all, but he actually wore glasses, and he wore the exact same brand and the exact same type of glasses, which I know that's not proof, but I've got pictures of them both with the exact same brand of glasses. So I thought that was weird. And even weirder was when I pulled up the census. I don't remember if it was the 1910 or the 1920, but I think it was the 1920. I'm thinking it's the 1920 census. I'm not sure. But when it lists him and the family, and Disney's actually listed with them. And but because he lived with his brother, okay, so he's the head of household. But at the very end of the survey, okay, over in the column, which isn't part of the survey, it's just part of the blank column, someone with a pencil had went in and wrote these little numbers out beside each one. I'm assuming someone at the survey,
I know
right?
where she's going.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
all these different numbers. And when you get down to his brother on Disney's, right across on his brother's, actually it's his brother, but Disney's listed there. The number, what is it? 666. Okay, you can't make this shit.
Yeah, she
And then
said she
the stuff
messages
on his tombstone doesn't match. Okay, his tombstone stuff doesn't match. I dug into that too because I'm a nerd like that. All right, I just found there's a lot of things, y'all. Hitler was a nobody. He was a moron. He was like a little grunt. He was stupid. He was blind. He got blind, and he kept getting wounded. He wasn't even a good soldier because he just couldn't even do nothing right. And he got all gassed. He got all blinded. Was in the hospital. Then all of a sudden he's just out of the hospital, and then he's,
he goes in the hospital. Yeah, he goes in the hospital.
He was working for the Germans. A lot of people don't understand that he was working for the Germans.
He was driving an ambulance, right? He was driving an ambulance.
No, Hitler was working for the Germans after all this happened, after the war. Okay, so he was a nobody. Then he was wounded because he was blind. That was like the second time, whatever. Then the war ended. Then he starts working for Germany. Okay, he's working for Germany. He's working for the government, and he starts working as a spy for them to go into these different parties. And what was he doing? Sniffing out communists. Okay, because Nazism and communism is two different things. Okay, so they hated the communists, so he was going in pretending like he was so and so and feeling like the worker parties and stuff like that, labor parties, and going in pretending like he was one way, but he was really trying to sniff out for communists, right? Which is ironic because that's exactly what Walt Disney did whenever he did the McCarthy trials, and he also worked for the feds, okay, as a spy, but he was also going in and calling a witch hunt, calling out people as communists, working for the government under secret. Now we know that, but at the time he was lying about it. But, going in and what was it, pointing out communists, the same thing, working as a spy, exact same thing that Hitler was doing over there. Okay. So, it's kind of weird, I thought, but the pictures don't even look the same. He went in like this little boy, comes out looking totally different. And like, it's not the same person. Then I think that they switched him out, and the person that was here, I don't know. Hitler had the stuff. Maybe they switched him out. Then the Disney that drew all the pictures came here. You know what I'm saying? And maybe the Disney that was here went over there and was Hitler. That's what I think. Okay, I think the original Hitler was actually Disney that we know. All right, you understand what I'm saying? They switched him out because you can see it with the artwork.
Yeah,
and also the backstories. All Disney has guilt problems because something happened, blah blah blah, and his mother died, and he has a guilt backstory for Hitler. Same story, backstory for Hitler. He went to the art institution, little blah blah blah, right? Or he didn't get accepted, and he had issues, but he was trying to get in or whatever. Well, Disney supposedly went to this little thing like that too. They also drew postcards, in different cartoons. So all their backstories are real similar, issues. Mama, it's like so made up. It's like they just don't even lie. They just can't even lie. They don't even lie good. So when you start digging around, nothing adds up. Okay, and that's what I look at. I just look at evidence. But how many coincidences before it stops being coincidence? You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
And so anyway, so that's where I'm at that. But I've really been digging around. It takes a long time to pull up stuff like tombstones and just be weird and looking around at glasses for like a year.
I remember that. I remember you were digging for his glasses. Yeah. All right, let's play this. So you said it's the first couple of minutes. Let's
kind of think it was his brother that was Hitler, though.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like him.
OSS. Today, the letters conjure up cloak and dagger images of romance and intrigue in far-flung corners of the world. Trenchcoat rituals, staged on foggy airfields and in murky cafes, where secret agents exchange microfilm for letters of transit. But in 1942, the letters OSS meant different things to different people. To an outsider, they stood for Oh So Secret, an enigmatic shadow organization of spies and saboteurs, the predecessor to today's CIA. To skeptical detractors, OSS stood for Oh So Social, because it counted among its members the cream of East Coast society, sons and daughters of America's oldest, richest, and most influential families. The Astors, Mellons, Morgans, DuPont, Vanderbilt, Roosevelt. To those in military intelligence and the FBI, OSS meant amateur, civilian dilettantes who got in the way, dabbling in the work of professionals. But to the line soldier ready to hit the beach or parachute into enemy territory, OSS often spelled the difference between life and death, depending on the accuracy of the intelligence those amateurs provided. The daring men and women of the Office of Strategic Services. In July 1940, 3 weeks after France fell, leaving Great Britain as the last outpost of democracy in Europe, America had a choice to make. Back Britain's stand against the Nazis or write off Europe and pursue the path of isolationism that many U.S. politicians were calling for. Against the advice of Joseph P. Kennedy, his ambassador to Great Britain, President Franklin Roosevelt sent a special envoy to London to gauge the English stomach for war. The envoy was a successful Wall Street lawyer named William J. Donovan. Donovan had been the most highly decorated hero of World War I. He knew Roosevelt personally, and although he was a Republican, Donovan shared FDR's view that America should assume the role of leadership in world affairs. Throughout the 1930s, Donovan had logged countless miles on fact-finding missions for the president. But this...
All right. Yeah, so the names add up. Can you hear us, Ann? Ann? All right. So they mentioned the names, the DuPonts, the 13 families of the Illuminati. To me, I still think that it was somehow what do I want to say? There was two things that were going on at the same time. There was Hitler out there fighting a war, but in the same sense, other people were fighting for him, but his objective was to go and to collect these occultic technologies.
Yes, he was. And the fact of the matter is that he did all of that so they can be used today. And we're going to see these weapons coming very, very soon.
I do believe that they have in their possession, I do believe that. John, was the Nazi bell, was that a weapon?
No, the Nazi bell was a jump apparatus.
It was for time travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people think that it's a myth, that it doesn't really exist, but it did exist, and they did. Now, did they capture it, or was that taken with him to Argentina?
I think they had multiple.
Oh, wow.
I know they had. We captured one of his saucers. Remember that we looked up the name, the Hanabi Model 2?
Yes, that the Hobby Lobby had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Hobby Lobby had the model of it. Yeah. So we captured that in 1944. And the bell, the bell was based off the Vimanis structure, like the Hindus had those, those the flying vimanas. Looks like a house, in other words. The bell was designed off of that, but it was turned out to be that it was a jump apparatus.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
That guy, Anthony Borgiani, or Project Pegasus, claimed that.
The Die Glock, the bell in German, is an alleged Nazi secret project made during the final phase of World War II, the time that many scientists and engineers used to present plans for rockets, jet planes, and tanks of monstrous proportions, that they had given a turn to the course of the war known as Wunderwaffen, or wonderful weapons, Nazi bell. Measured 5 meters high, 3 meters in diameter. On its front was a Nazi symbol. Had 2 rotating cylinders that contained a substance similar to mercury called Zerum 525. It is also said that this liquid was extremely radioactive, and many of the scientists who worked on the bell while it was on, they died of cancer.
Yeah, they had the two. When Maria Orsic designed the first saucer, they had the mercury turning around like the three. It's the 3 crystals: germanium, trinium, and something else. But that's what it was built out of. But when you spin the mercury around that material, it, like at 40,000 RPM, it becomes electrogravitable. Not that it's defying gravity, but it lifts it through, electricity. But you can look that up. That theory is known because you can make that happen, like basically in a chemistry set. So, and there's patents on that. And that's what gives it the green glow. So when people see like a green exhaust, I've heard many stories where they describe UFOs or green exhaust. That's that particular propulsion system.
The Philadelphia project. Wait a minute! Didn't the ship glow green when it jumped?
Yeah. That's how they make it happen with that propulsion system. It defies dimensions.
Wow. See, there was so much technology discovered and used during World War II, more than any other war in history. We never heard of anything like this in World War II, World War I. We never heard of any of this, in Vietnam or Korea or anything like that.
You remember we talked about last time that movie Overlord, where they were refining that red mercury underneath that church in the movie? Yeah. And the guy says, "How does it feel to have the blood of God running through you?" Yes. What could that be loosely based on? Because they said there's mercury underneath the pyramids, and Germany spent a lot of time in North Africa. Like I said, they weren't. The funny thing was none of the standard oil fields were ever occupied. Wow. So what were they getting?
Right. What were they getting?
But that propulsion system, you can look it up. It's been patents have been put on it. Physicists will agree on it. And Orsic is the one who said she got that from Sumi the planet, whether you believe in planets or not. But she said it was 68 light years away. Her hair got the information. That's why she had a certain length of hair. And the Sumi were the Hyperboreans, and they gave her the technology for the travel.
Somebody wants to know if we think that any of this technology was stolen from Tesla.
Yeah, very possible. My opinion on Tesla was, I think Tesla got the technology because he was, I'm not saying exactly who he was related to, but the new age of like Helena Blavatsky and stuff. Yeah. I think Tesla met the ascending masters, which are, the fallen angels. And I think he turned from them. And I think that's why they ended up, ruining his life. But I think he was like, nah, I'm going to use this for another purpose.
I think you're right. When he was in the room surrounded by the lightning and the voltage, he said he was contacted by these beings. But he also was in contact with the Black Knight satellite. And I believe he downloaded a lot of the technology from there too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can you explain to me what the Black Knight satellite is? Because that's something I've never heard of before.
Black Knight satellite is a satellite that orbits the Earth from a north to south circumference. Most satellites go east and west, go around the equator in some sort of elliptical, orbit. This one goes up from the North Pole to the South Pole, and it circumference the Earth that way. It is supposedly somewhere like 30,000 years old. It emits a signal. They don't know what it's emitting from. They believe that it's been put into our orbit to observe humanity's progression. And it's let me pull up a picture of it. It's quite a fascinating topic. And it has a lot to do with Tesla.
I always thought they used Nikola Tesla as basically a front man for a lot of the technology that was found in the Tartarian Empire, because they didn't want to, give the credit of that technology to like fallen angels and giants. They just said it was Nikola Tesla who did all of it. That's what my theory always was with him.
The problem with that, though, is if that was the case, they didn't have to kill him like they did. They didn't have to take his papers like they did. They didn't have to steal his technology like they did when his the light bulb was stolen from him. Here's the Black Knight.
Well, basically, like he found the Tartaria tech, and he was basically just like, basically how scientists can like take stuff apart and then recreate it. I think he did a lot of that. Like he figured it out basically.
Oh wow!
Because even if you look at it, like the Chicago World Fair and all that stuff stuff got torn down after they like had their little fairs and stuff.
It literally, it took them 2 years to build up, and they tore it down afterwards, which doesn't make any sense to me. That's a total waste of money.
Yeah.
There is a
Pixie Doodle said that she read that Trump's grandfather stole his work, and I believe I saw that too.
After
it was his actual, and he didn't steal it.
After what's his name? After Tesla died, they found all of his papers, and it was given over to the United States government. And there was a lot of the information in his papers that they couldn't decipher. They couldn't figure out. They didn't have the smarts to decipher what it was. So they brought in Donald Trump's uncle, who was some sort of genius, I guess, and gave him like 20 totes of papers. And he scoured over them and gave them back 12 totes and told him he didn't find anything. That's the story from that, I guess. Here, I think this is it. Give me just a second. One second.
Did y'all play the video? I got kicked off and I couldn't hear.
Yeah, we did. And you're right. The names coincided with it. Absolutely.
If you get a chance to go back to about the 5 minute mark, from about the 5 to the 8 minute mark, it really shows you how they go in and set up how they infiltrated so many different agencies. And oh my gosh, it's just crazy.
I'm going to put the link so everybody can watch it. It is 15 minutes. You guys asked about you asked about Black Knight satellite. Take a look at this. It's like kind of off topic, but I don't think it is, because I think it all coincides with, these people having communications with these things. So take a listen. This is a commercial. And it's not going to play it. Oh, that's all.
This is international icon freed up into David Oilo.
That's not it. Hold on a minute. Here it is. $18.99, Nikola Tesla. There we go. This is the one. Come on. Give me 2 seconds, guys. There we go.
For much of my life, we've been tracking the movement, signals, and coded messages of Black Knight and sharing it with the world. Every time we share, they shut us down.
Alpha team is approaching the target.
But this time it's different.
Upload in progress.
If this gets out, there'll be mass panic. Shut it down.
This time, what we share will change the world.
Hey.
Look, I know we owe each other a big catch-up, but we have to skip it. Your upload is getting hits. Lots of hits.
Maybe this time we'll actually figure out what they're saying.
Okay. I know you prefer to do things on your own, but right now is not the time. Do you still have a key?
What are you talking about?
This has the potential to change everything, and I can think of at least a few people who may not be happy about that.
You need to get out of there. I'm heading into the city, so meet me at my place. It's safe there.
Bravo team, follow Alpha's command.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this talks. It's a short video or short movie, and it was produced by Pepsi of no other craziness, and it talks about the Black Knight satellite and about the message that it sends down and how it's some sort of a doomsday clock. So I will put the link in the description for you guys to watch that. But it's interesting. Black Knight is. The ties to Tesla are quite significant, I believe. So
I never heard of that at all.
Yeah,
you just hit me up with something new today.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting topic. And you know what? Here's the thing: if Tesla was in communication with it, who's to say Hitler wasn't too? Who's to say the U.S. government isn't too? You know, who knows what it has on board? You know. And it sends out a signal, and
I wonder if any civilians in recent memory has saw that satellite.
Very well could be, but I don't think. I think if I stumbled on the transmission, I think it's closely guarded, to tell you the truth, and I think you would probably have a knock at your door.
Yep, afraid so.
Let's get back on topic. What do I got? So I found this review of Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program to bring Nazi scientists to the United States. I don't know if you guys saw this. This one's not, it's not an official government paper, but it talks about the secret intelligence program to bring Nazi scientists to America. Let me ask you guys a question. If the Nazis really lost, and if they really were put on trial in Nuremberg, where do you think the world would be today? How about a question for each one of you guys to answer that? Where do you think we would be today if the Nazis, those scientists did not come over here to the United States, did not participate in the NASA, CIA, and all the other programs? Where do you think the United States would be today?
Probably still be using rotary phones and stuff.
Right? What about you, Big John?
Well, I think they would be involved somehow. Now, hypothetically, we're talking. Like Hero said, yeah, probably not a whole lot going on. Definitely no television.
No television, really?
No television. Well, that's Monarch programming that they brought over here.
Okay, that's true. That's right. What about you, Ann? With all your research on the Nazis, and what do you think? Where would we be?
Probably like a utopia, maybe close to heaven. You know, we'd probably be happy and be maybe like back in the 50s, back whenever it had wholesome values and people put God and family first. before they came in and destroyed it with
Ozzy
the
and
OSS and
Harriet
the
kind of
CIA.
family feel.
That's how I see it, because that's what they just brought in. Satan, and he just wants to kill, lie, and destroy, right, and take away our homes and our families, which is the main thing that I think he likes to do, right?
Somebody says we would be speaking Russian. What do you guys think about that comment?
I'd rather be speaking Russian, speaking Biden. Yeah.
Right at this point, right? What about
Well,
your?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say not Russian. Russia has never had anything but just to stop the United States, because we were there at Berlin looking at each other, and it was like we're both tired. We'll finish this later. You know, I think even the Cold War was just made up a bunch of Illuminati crap. You know, but Russia has never wanted to actually like invade the United States. It's always been like we're gonna, like, we're tired of you more than like we want to occupy you.
Mm-hmm.
It's always
because he's
been
a
like
Christian, and he knows that our governments are Satanists. You know,
100%.
He is a Christian, and he's a good guy.
Stalin didn't want to invade America. Stalin was like, okay, y'all stay over there, split Germany. Then we started fussing because of what? Nuclear weapons. That's the whole thing. You know, is like, well, we got this, we'll just destroy each other. But Russia has never cared. Stalin never cared about America, even bothering with it.
Wow. I've got some things that we would not have if.
Hey, you skipped over me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I? Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Chop liver. Just chop
no,
liver.
he's not.
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. Jeez.
Oh wow, it's like that, huh?
No,
I'm messing with you.
I'm gonna put myself in timeout because I feel bad now.
No, you're good. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if Hitler wasn't picked by the enemy, he would have found somebody else.
Somebody else, yeah, that's what I think.
I mean, you have to understand, if you look at Bible references and stuff like that, all of this stuff had to take place, because look what happened after World War II.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, would I want to be able to live better? Absolutely. All of us would. But the fact of the matter is that stuff had to have taken place. God designed it to take place because it's ushering all Bible prophecies for the end times to come, so Jesus can come back on earth. So when I refer back to the question I just asked, what happened after World War II? The state of Israel.
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. The Balfour Declaration was instituted, and that was the reason. Another reason, and we didn't even touch on that yet, was Hitler's main objective was genocide against the Jewish people, but not just any Jewish people. The real true Israelites, the real true bloodline of Abraham. He was set out to exterminate that in order for the Ashkenazi Khazarian to be put into place through the Balfour Declaration, which came in after World War II through the Rothschilds family, and instituted and created the state of Israel.
Yeah, and as like personal opinion, I can't necessarily say this is fact. When we looking at the history of Black in America, it was all done so they can eliminate the Black race. Or a lot of people would say that are in the know that Black people are the true biblical Israelites. Can't say for certain one way or the other, but a lot of signs point towards that, because if you look throughout, the 20th and 21st century, a lot of things have been revolving around that group of people for a reason.
Exactly.
Even Solomon said he was black. He said, do not hate me because my skin is black, in the Song of Solomon,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that hatred from the Nazis and stuff like that, it went on before that. That's just an evolution of those types of groups of people that hated black people.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about the Africans. I'm talking about black people.
Big difference.
Yep.
Do you think that the reason that the Nazis are like the blonde hair and the blue eyed is because they think that, you know, that's the fallen angels? Because remember, whenever, I think it was in the book of Enoch, whenever Noah was born, Noah's father was freaking the hell out, okay?
Well,
Because
Noah,
he's like, dude, this dude does not look right. This kid is not right. He's shiny.
Noah was an
He's
albino.
white.
He was
He
albino.
said he's shiny and he's white and he looks like the Watchers, okay?
Yeah.
So he was freaking out thinking that he was an angel, and he did not believe that was his son. And they convinced him, oh, it's cool, you know, just accept him as your kid, you know. But still,
I think Big
he
John
was
can answer
glowing.
that question a lot
He was
better than any one
glowing.
of us because he has that knowledge on that.
But I'm just saying that because it was described that the angels looked. That's how he described the angels. So I'm not really talking about Noah. I'm talking about how he described.
Yeah, Noah was an albino.
I know, but I'm talking about how he described him as the, you know, the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the bright, you know. Is that why the Germans, because they really like Lucifer, Satan, the fallen angels, that's why they like that race? They say it's Aryan race, but isn't it really what they're saying is the fallen
Vril.
angels?
Isn't it the Vril, John?
Well, it's the Hyperboreans, but or Aryan, same thing. But no, the Vril is like the reptilian side of it. They mess with the, you know, the snake in the eye and all that stuff. But it comes from Iceland. So if you want to say Nordic too, because that's why they were in Tibet measuring these people's faces, because the Tibetans had the same descriptive. Okay, so Hitler had the Edis, right? He had the ancient alphabet basically from Iceland, which you can't have it today because it's called Nazi. So that's what they do. They call it Nazi so you can't look at it.
Right.
But that Wagner, the composer, he composed his music from those syllables. That's why Wagner's music used to put Hitler into a trance.
Ooh.
And so they had blonde hair, blue eyes. Well, from whatever the Edis said, that's a bunch of scrolls that the Germans got. The Internabi got all this stuff. And they said, this is how you know that these are basically, you know, the first, the fallen. And the Tibetans had the same cheek measurements as the original Icelandic people. And but yeah, Hyperboreans, Aryan, same thing. And then if you read about even indigenous tribes in the Western Hemisphere, when Quetzalcoatl was in human form, what was he? Blonde hair, blue eye. What about Amarahu of the Incans? Blonde hair, blue eye. They were all that. When the snake serpent gods were in human form, they were blonde hair, blue eyes. And then Admiral Byrd said the king of the earth is what? Blonde hair, blue eyed. So everybody describes the, you know, Lucifer and his peeps. They're all, you know, when they look like humans, they just particularly choose that. But that's where that comes from. And then also the book of Lamech, which is not widely known. Lamech himself was described to be of possibly a immaculate birth himself. And that's why it's referenced that he was scared of Noah, because he knew from himself that he may have been a son of a god, but not Yahweh. But this is what he's told. This is in the book of Lamech as his description. But Noah is his son, and Noah wasn't a fallen.
Wow.
Because who was Lamech's dad?
Very interesting.
But I was listening to Timothy. I said Albrino, Timothy Albrino. He's a really, I think it's something like that.
Yeah,
he's a really,
I know him. Yeah, I met him.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah, he's awesome, and I would marry him, but I'm already married. But it's just like that. I love him like that. Okay. So, anyways, he gave a really good biblical account and all the different, you know, times when they have described the fallen angels as the blonde hair, blue eyed. So, I really think that's where Hitler gets that from, where they got that from, the Germans. I don't think it was about the Aryan race or the Icelands. I think it was because they worshiped the fallen angels, just like they did, like you were talking about the ones from Mexico, you know.
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely some interesting insight going into tonight's broadcast. A lot of stuff being uncovered.
Yeah, I know we're all over the place, guys, but it's just it's how we roll here. We don't use a script.
It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we get off on tangents. I'm looking through this. It's a 203-page.
It's an ADD happy hour.
ADD happy hour. This is through the FBI vault. This is the redacted, declassified document, and it says, I don't know who this is to, but it says, "Dear Sir, I'll bet $1 to a donut that Hitler is located right in New York City. There's no other city in the world where he could so easily be absorbed. No doubt you have considered this possibility, but I mention it for what it is worth anyway." And I don't know who signed that.
You know, Hempstead, that's actually a New York town.
Yeah, Hempstead's Air Force Base, if I ain't mistaken. I can't remember which one it is.
I don't know. They just the Hempstead with the numbers. It might have been from my previously, researching this years ago that it just popped back in my head. I don't know, but yeah. What's this one? I don't know what that one is.
The town occupies the southwestern part of the county on the western half of Long Island.
Oh, wow. So if he was in New York City, that might have been an address?
Yep. Well, as I mentioned earlier, when they used to dial, the name was actually the town.
Yeah. That is, yeah. It would have been. So it wouldn't have been Hempstead, Argentina. I don't think there's a Hempstead, Argentina, is there? No.
Not that I'm aware of.
Look it up. No. It's a town in Long Island.
Yep.
Not in Argentina.
If my theory's right, and that the guy who's posing as Disney's older brother, was actually the escaped Hitler, which is really what I believe, okay? Then that means they hit him in like Kansas City. They hit him pretty easy. Buried him in California, I think.
Or could have been in Alabama. Or wasn't it Alabama that they sent the scientists?
They did, and I was gonna say they in the 60s for sure. There were lots of babies being born with serpent tails
in Alabama.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Oh, what a tangled web they weave! What the heck? And you know what?
You can't tell me that Fauci isn't a.
Huh?
You know Fauci's a Nazi baby. You look at him. You can tell that his daddy was one of them Nazi German. You just look at him and you can tell. I'm not trying to be racist or nothing like that, but you can tell that he is the spawn of Satan. Okay, that he is a Nazi child. You can just look at him, and I studied all those Nazi pictures and everything.
You can see him in his little outfit when he was young, can't you?
Yes, I can just see it. I can feel it. I can psychic vibe it. I feel it.
Well, according to the doctor, the great doctor, if we study and acknowledge the Hitler regime, we can prevent the spread.
Well, who was the foremost expert on Nazi generations in America? Russ Dizdar.
Yeah.
And you see how he was exactly targeted by a weapon based off of his own DNA. So, and I mean, Russ was the only one who ever connected anything with generational Nazis. The programming, the Black Awakening operations, the Black Sun operations, that guy exposed. I mean, that's exactly why they killed him, because they're like, he's too close. Well, he has it and he's letting it out, so we got to nail him.
Well, Hitler, with the Black Sun, in his castle, I believe he had a room that had the
Himmler. That was Heinrich Himmler's castle, Wallenberg.
Okay. I knew it was a Nazi.
Yes.
And
It's still there. You can tour it, but you can't go in that room, I don't think, anymore. But Russ was there. Russ was in that room, and he's the one who exposed the Hall of the Dead underneath it, and how they did the, with the chopped off heads, and that's where they got the technology from, because the women would give birth to entities on the Black Sun.
Right.
And
that's what I heard.
the plasma, and then the plasma would rise up. They give birth to plasma, and then the plasma would sound like Charlie Brown's mother, like harmonic sounds, and they would decode it. And so what else was I going to say about the castle? Oh, okay, Himmler, right? Who did Himmler say that he was reincarnated?
I don't know.
Henry the Fowler. Look up him.
Henry the Fowler?
Henry the Fowler. That's who Himmler says he was. So that's where all that, that's why he had the Black Sun.
Henry the Fowler was the Duke of Saxony from 912 and the King of East Francia from 919 until his death in 936. Let me see. They do images. I can find what images. Henry the Fowler. Okay, let's do this. Henry the Fowler, Nazi. Heinrich Himmler. You said Henry Himmler was connected to him?
Yeah, Himmler said he was Henry the Fowler reincarnated.
Yeah, because when I pull it up, that's who comes up was Himmler.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Because the Black Sun, everybody like Thelema, like Crowley's Thelema, that's not his own. That comes from Edis. That was like, remember I told y'all about the Enochian languages before Adam?
Yeah.
Edis is directly related to that. That's why they say, oh, it's because that's the only alphabet that the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League have like banned from anybody even looking at it, or they'll call you a Nazi, because that's the language of the fallen angels.
Here I found what John and I are talking about. Here is Himmler's castle, and here is the picture of the Black Sun that's on the floor.
The German, the SS on the uniforms didn't stand for, it stood for Storcensana. That's a Black Sun. That's what they were.
That.
Yeah,
I recognize that. I found that. I know what that is. I saw that in the Disney cartoons about somewhere like Idaho Falls or something. It's some Mystic Falls or something like that. It's like this place, and they have the Masons and everything. Mystic Falls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mystic
That's
Falls.
really creepy. Right.
Yeah.
I broke that all down because I've been working on some really crazy stuff with Disney, y'all like portals and everything. You just don't even know what I found. You don't even
remember.
Lori
Okay,
does.
the Vegas deal.
But that symbol. Let me finish saying that symbol. I like a photographic memory. That symbol is part of that Mystic Falls cartoon.
Yeah, that's the Storcensana, the Black Sun that illuminates Hades. Actually Tartarus, but anyhow, it's in Vegas, and one of the objectives during the Vegas shooting was to use that for a blood sacrifice, and that's because it's close to the Luxor. So that was just one of the things that was happening on that night.
Wow. I know in the castle. I don't know if I can get a good picture of it.
It won't. Underneath it is the Hall of the Dead, and that's where they would take 13 SS soldiers, cut off their heads, and they would face 6 of them at each other. So that's 12, and then the 13th, it represented Osiris's body pieces. So the 13th would look down the middle.
Yeah, there's a hole. There's a hole in the middle.
Yeah, the entities would come up through the eyes of the heads through that hole, and Hitler and everybody would sit around that Black Sun you're showing right there.
Yeah.
And each entity would go into the body of all the top-ranking Nazis, and you had scientists on the outside with their little harmonic machine, which would decipher. Now, there's also a woman. The woman would lay in the middle of the sun, and she would have intercourse with the entity, and then she would give birth to like a mucus. And the mucus, the plasma, ectoplasm, whatever you want to call it, that would rise up, like a blob, and then they would talk. It sounded like Charlie Brown's mother, like a wonk, 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 and a harmonic, but they would decipher it. It would give them technology.
Wow. Yeah, I know because this is, there's slits here that go down into the hole. So that was where the blood would drip down, right?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, it would come up wherever the entities would come up from the. They would never show the Hall of the Dead because it's beneath this floor.
Right, it's beneath here, correct?
Yeah, and then now the plasma could run whatever weird, body fluids would run,
Ugh.
but the woman would be in the middle, and she would give birth to that entity.
Wow.
Now I've heard a lot of stories that women who are attacked by like succubi or whatever, they always have like some kind of a plasm left over, whether they think it's a ghost or a demon or whatever. But that's an entity that is left over, and but it's not. It has to be charged with the Babylon workings to actually get something from it. Otherwise, it's just fluid.
Now, where did Hitler learn all of this stuff? Where did he? Does anybody know, like, what point in his career, military career, political career, that he was like? Because to me, the whole war was like a second thought to him.
Yeah.
His concentration wasn't on winning the war. His concentration was on the occultic, gathering this, finding, the Aryan race, trying to get all that. And I believe that, he used the war as a cover for human experimentation for his occultic craziness.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. My opinion is it was 1938 when they got the swastika, which was a Hindu cross. The swastika is a beacon for demons. Literally, it's from Edis, and it's a beacon saying, "Bring the technology to me."
Oh wow!
That's why they went with the swastika, because it's a Hindu cross and it's also a beacon on the Enotian side.
And all of this technology that we've got, incorporated into our everyday life has come from, in one form or another, from a fallen angel technology. Because I have to agree with Hero. If all of this didn't happen and we did not absorb these Nazis into our political and social and whatever, grafted them into us, we probably would still be on rotary phones, driving, I don't know.
Well, we don't know that for certain.
Well, rotary
because, like I said, this technology was destined to pass on to somebody, whether it was Hitler or somebody else.
Yeah.
So regardless of who was in power during that time frame, somebody would have been influencing the stuff that we have today.
Yeah.
Y'all don't remember running to your grandma's house on the rotary phone, calling your girlfriend or boyfriend?
Yeah.
Sounds like you problem, bro.
No, I remember that. Absolutely. We didn't have the technology we had today. We talked about this yesterday. We left in the morning and we went out, and we knew that when the lights came on at night, that was our cue to go home. Our parents didn't have the ability to call us at a whim. You just knew when you left school at 3:00 on Friday that you were meeting everybody at 5:00 or 5:30 at the mall.
Yeah, that's right. Well, then that's the good old days.
Yeah, y'all.
I wish I would come home after it turns dark with my mama's house.
used to meet up at the mall, and then you used to decide what party you were going to go to, and y'all, got up your money and you got yourself a cab and you went to the party, and told your mom you were spending the night at your friend's house. That's how it worked. Come on, don't lie. Y'all know you did it.
You must have never met my old man.
You have met my mama.
Okay, well. All right, well, I ain't gonna lie, I did it.
I could tell, Lori, because you came up with that scenario
way
in very
too quick.
detailed format.
It was way too quick.
I spent most of my young high school years copying out of Encyclopedia Britannica from 1970 to 72.
My favorite books to read were
I knew a lot of useless knowledge.
Dave and I were talking about this the other day. We couldn't wait until the year what is it, the next year came out. Like you would get the, I don't know what it was called, like you had like A to Z. You had the encyclopedia, but then every year an addition to it would come out. And
Yeah.
some years it was thicker than others, and you would read what was discovered in this last year, and it was like, it was like the holy grail when it would come in the mail.
Dang, y'all bougie. Couldn't afford that.
Oh, that was my grandmother said. I that was just my punishment to my parents wouldn't have bought nothing like that.
My mom didn't have a lot of money, but the things that she spent money on for me was educational, and it was something that she saved for, and that was a luxury for us. I can remember I could only take one book out of the cabinet at a time, and I couldn't keep it in my room because I might spill something on it, so I had to sit at the table. I mean, it was like revered. So the yearbook, thank you, Richard. Rick, I couldn't even remember. Yeah, the yearbook you used to get the beginning of every year, and they would have yearbook 1977, yearbook 1978, and it wouldn't be like a letter. It would be a year. I wonder what happened to mine, man.
What my grandmother had? I just thought about it. She had some kind of Catholic encyclopedia set. I remember that now. Anybody else ever heard of that?
No.
I'm about to go find that thing. I remember that. It was like it would tell you like a bunch of definitions on the Catholic Church. I remember it was a whole I gotta find that because I used to read it when I was a kid. That's why I was always profounded in it. Probably why I was an atheist, because I was like, this is a bunch of crap.
Well, here's the thing. They admitted Christmas was not a real holiday in their encyclopedia.
Very well may be in that set. I knew it was just so confusing. I'm just like, what?
Well, Christmas was illegal right up until 18 something. It was illegal to be celebrated in the United States.
All right, so back on topic now.
Anyways, yeah. Again, tangent. Sorry, guys, off topic. Woo! We're gonna have to get shock collars for us, and zap us. And
we sound like my TikToks.
Right? Yeah. No rhyme or that's and that's the way I like it. That's the way I look. It doesn't matter. We talk, and a lot of information gets put out there. Let's see, what else do I got here?
Do you know that several children went missing in the 1950s after Parsons, after he accidentally supposedly blew himself up? Well, several kids also went missing around the Devil's Gate Dam, and 2 of them were never found. So a serial killer, they said, took credit for 2 of the disappearances 13 years after they came missing. But yeah.
What do you think, Dan? What do you say? What they were near a dam, you said?
Well, so you have the JPL, which is the
Jack Parsons, laboratory.
And then just about a mile from there, you have the Devil's Gate Dam, okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that supposedly is where they actually did the ritual that brought in the sex ritual that were
got Hilarion in there, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, but that's a really creepy place. And if you take that and go up to Anaheim, which I think there's a portal there. You go to Long Beach and go to that Santa Susana Field Laboratory, and have one more on there that I'd been researching it, and it all makes an exact pentagram. I sent that to Lori 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, because you gotta have like running water in the Babylon workings too. That's why, like the book of Ezekiel, they're always have the water flowing in chapter 8 through 10.
Yeah. So I pulled up, you guys know that I use bibliocalipades a lot for research. And that's the wrong one. Hold on a second.
Oh, one more thing before I forget, Lori. Also, that Jet Propulsion Laboratory in that Devil's Cave is right there on the edge of the Angeles National Forest. So I think there's aliens like in the ground there. So, that probably had something to do with that. And it's also just right off the 33rd parallel,
Yeah, match runs through Dallas too. What what was Parsons' wife's name? Remember her? The girl. Remember she was a weirdo too. I can't think of her damn name.
What, Parsons' wife?
Parsons' girlfriend or
She
wife?
was the one that was having an affair. They were having an affair with like a Scientology guy. Like
yeah.
they were wife swapping.
What was her name? If you said her name, I know it. Lori, looking at her.
Marjorie Cameron or Helen Parsons Smith?
Maybe it's Cameron.
1946 to 1952, they were married.
She's a weirdo.
Hold on a second.
I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna find her name.
I only see two: Marjorie Cameron and Helen Parsons Smith.
And maybe it was like his mistress. I'm gonna find.
Okay, let me find mistress.
If you pull up her picture.
Magic and Betty, what? Babylon Working, Marjorie Cameron. Jack Parsons, how did he blow himself up? Okay, sorry, I just kind of, it's funny.
Yeah, that's her, Marjorie Cameron. Yeah,
Marjorie Cameron. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So supposedly that's like Jimmy Kimmel's grandma or something like that. I mean, they're all related.
Not surprising.
But she was I think she was like a priestess in Thelema. There it is. Yeah, there it is. That's her. She was a priestess in Thelema. But Crowley, now apparently Crowley brought her through the gate.
Now she was the one that was with Parsons and Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard when they did the sex ritual. She was there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that one. Okay. Yeah, if you guys don't know that, look her up, Marjorie Cameron. There's an article. It's called "The Uncensored Story of Occultist Artist Marjorie Cameron." It's a pretty good article to read. Pretty interesting. I don't know. She had to be some weirdo to think that what they were doing was okay. I can't even.
Well, yeah. Well, she started the Moon Children, apparently, what it says.
Right. Wow. So I pulled this up. This is Bibliocalipades, and all I put in there was Paperclip, and it has all sorts of side. I mean, like I said, this website is just never ending. And some of the things we've got that came from Paperclip is HARP Project, the Manhattan Project, Montauk, the Philadelphia Project, Project Philadelphia, Project Rainbow, Project Phoenix, Montauk again, MK Ultra, Monarch, and time travel. And I thought that was quite interesting. And when you, let me put it to English, when you go to the time travel one that pops up when you click on time travel, it goes into all of the scientists and how they got into, we've got DARPA, we've got the energy projects, the physicists, the particles. It goes into CERN. It goes into all of these teleportation. All of these different links that they have here had something to do with the scientists that came over from Paperclip. Each one of these lines you see is a hyperlink you can click, and I will put it in the description area below for you guys. I'll put this one in here, and I'll put in the one for the original one. If you go down here, that's not the right one. It would be the one before it.
If you really want to get in the rabbit hole, go to this site.
Which one? Oh, this one I'm showing?
We will take a couple plates, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean, I'm trying to, let me pull it up here. Okay. So I started, when I pulled it up, I got to this. This is the first one. This is the Project Paperclip, okay? Project Paperclip. And you've got, again, all these hyperlinks that are down here. But if you go down to the very bottom and you look down here, you can go to, let's go to the Majestic Documents. And if I click on there, the Majestic documents. Every one of these has a hyperlink. Project Aquarius, Project Blue Book, Project Paperclip, the Grudge 13 report, Project Grudge, Declassified MK Ultra project documents, Project Monarch, Nazi mind control, the evolution project of MK Ultra, Project Moondust and Blue Fly, Project Moondust and Operation Blue Fly, the retrieval of objects of unknown origin, Project Sign, Project Magnet, Project Snowbird, and every single one of these, again, hyperlinks takes you to another page on this. And if you go down to the bottom, again, you have different ones that you can go to. We can go to the Return to the Saga of Flying Objects. I mean, it's a never-ending. It's crazy. I'll put the links in the description. You guys can have fun with it. Just come up for air. Make sure you eat. Make sure you stay hydrated. Make sure you sleep, because you can lose a lot of time on those pages.
Yeah, I don't think I slept for like 4 days after I was introduced to this website.
Here, have this. Yep. Send pizza, and just make sure that I come up for air. Barbara Bush. Are you guys talking about Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley, that conspiracy?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's not a conspiracy. Look at her. That's Aleister Crowley's daughter. Look at her. That's a doppelganger. That's too creepy. All right, it's too creepy.
I know.
Maybe it is him.
Yeah, it's him. I think it's him, but I don't know, because that lady don't look like a lady to me.
Dude, look like a
lady.
Dude, look like a lady.
Oh my God, we spend way too much time together.
Yes, we do.
Oh God. Well, I want to thank you guys. This was an interesting topic tonight. I really enjoyed talking about these things, and especially with you guys, and pulling the information out there. John, seems like no matter what we talk about, you've always got some information that nobody's ever heard before.
And Ishtar always gets in there somehow.
Well, that's the game they play. It's all one thing. It goes back to what Aaron just said, Ishtar. That's the whole thing about Parsons and Nazis. It's all about the Babylon workings.
Oh yeah. By the way, Big John, happy Ishtar, belated.
Yeah. The whole thing of the 3 days of the apotheosis.
Apotheosis. Yeah. John, he messaged me the other day and he goes, first day of apotheosis. I was like, thanks, John.
I text Lori, I go, Easter's got you triggered.
Yeah. She said it. She goes, she messages me early, was it Easter morning? She's like, damn girl, Easter got you triggered. I was like, no, it's part of my series, Lori Ruins Everything. And, whenever it comes up on a holiday, I start about a week before, and then I gradually to like 24 hours before it, and I boom, 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 and hit it hard. And, and it's part of my Lori Ruins Everything series.
Like I said on my video, I know about Ishtar because I've seen a thing or two. I don't like her, but that's what I mean. It just boils down to that. That's the basic principle of anything.
Down to that. It always boils down to that, and it always boils down to Baal or
Osiris. Yeah, it's all the same. It's all the same deities. They just
it's all the same. They're all the
it's all the same. It's all the same thing. It's just the game they run. I mean, they can't come up with nothing new. It's just they just like, well, guess what? It's a new batch of humans. Let's trick them. Let's bamboozle them with these stories, and here's some prizes, and you get what you want a few times, and it's but it's all the same thing. It's the same old dog and pony show. So.
Have you guys seen the series Know Your Enemy from the Field Project?
Ooh, it sounds like something I would like.
Yeah,
never heard of it.
I have played it. Ernie, have I played it on this channel?
I can't remember, but I did a sermon on knowing your enemy.
No, this is a complete. It's Mark has put together a series, and it goes straight from the garden straight into where we are now about knowing your enemy. And he goes into who's who and what's what and who belongs to who and whose name is this. And he goes into the Catholic Church, how, you know, the Catholic Church during the time when they wanted the pagans to convert, the pagans were like, well, we'll convert, but we want to bring our little gods with us. And the Catholic Church was like, yeah, not a problem. You can bring them over. We'll absorb them into the Catholic Church, and we'll just make them patron saints. And
100%.
It gives into that.
100%. You're right. Just like they wear the fish head, they wear the Dagon
yeah.
fish hats. I mean,
yeah. I think maybe
all
next week or maybe this weekend I'll start. It's a 74-part series, but it's only I think each part is like anywheres from, I don't know, 8 to 12, 14 minutes long. So I've played it before on Global Watchmen. I don't remember if I played it on this channel or not. It might have been because we've lost like 4 channels. So I forget where I've played what or what I've done since we've restarted. And so I'll do that for next week.
Well, I wish that Jordan Maxwell didn't pass away, because that guy was like underrated amongst the people. You know what I mean? Like that guy knew exactly what was going on too.
Yeah, I know. He had his thumb on a lot of things.
100% had his thumb on it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, as always. I don't even know. I think I would like to next week dive into Disney again. What do you think, Anne? Can you join us to do Disney?
Hell yeah. Because it's like, John, everything goes back to the start. Everything goes back to Disney.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah, let's do Disney next week, because I know that you've got a lot, and it kind of flows from the Nazi part now, and it has a lot to do with Nazi Germany. So next week, Wednesday, come on back, and we're going to dive into
play the video.
Huh?
Can you play my video?
Yeah, next week.
Oh, yes, that'll help. And also, if we can play that, I really like to play at least that first 10 minutes of that video again, because like the 7 to 10, it's real important, showing how they infiltrate every, like how Epstein and all them, how they infiltrated every single place. So this shows how they did it from originally.
All right, why don't we close out with that for the first 10 minutes? Let's close out with that. Here we go.
Okay.
OSS. Today, the letters conjure up cloak and dagger images of romance and intrigue in far-flung corners of the world. Trenchcoat rituals staged on foggy airfields and in murky cafes, where secret agents exchange microfilm for letters of transit. But in 1942, the letters OSS meant different things to different people. To an outsider, they stood for Oh So Secret, an enigmatic shadow organization of spies and saboteurs, the predecessor to today's CIA. To skeptical detractors, OSS stood for Oh So Social, because it counted among its members the cream of East Coast society, sons and daughters of America's oldest, richest, and most influential families. The Astors, Mellons, Morgans, DuPont, Vanderbilt, Roosevelt. To those in military intelligence and the FBI, OSS meant amateur, civilian dilettantes who got in the way, dabbling in the work of professionals. But to the line soldier ready to hit the beach or parachute into enemy territory, OSS often spelled the difference between life and death, depending on the accuracy of the intelligence those amateurs provided. The daring men and women of the Office of Strategic Services. In July 1940, 3 weeks after France fell, leaving Great Britain as the last outpost of democracy in Europe, America had a choice to make. Back Britain's stand against the Nazis or write off Europe and pursue the path of isolationism that many U.S. politicians were calling for. Against the advice of Joseph P. Kennedy, his ambassador to Great Britain, President Franklin Roosevelt sent a special envoy to London to gauge the English stomach for war. The envoy was a successful Wall Street lawyer named William J. Donovan. Donovan had been the most highly decorated hero of World War I. He knew Roosevelt personally, and although he was a Republican, Donovan shared FDR's view that America should assume the role of leadership in world affairs. Throughout the 1930s, Donovan had logged countless miles on fact-finding missions for the president. But this mission to England would be one of the most important assignments ever undertaken by an American citizen, because the fate of free Europe hung in the balance. In the ensuing days, Donovan met with Winston Churchill and visited the headquarters of the Special Operations Executive Branch of British Intelligence, the SOE. The SOE had recently been formed for the purposes of sabotage and subversion in German-occupied territory. When Donovan returned to Washington, he assured Roosevelt that the British resolve was strong, America should back the island nation with all the support it could muster. The following spring, as the specter of war grew closer, FDR became increasingly frustrated with the disjointed and conflicting information he was getting from G2, the military intelligence branch of the Army, and the FBI. Donovan proposed to the president the creation of a central agency for collecting, sifting, and analyzing this intelligence. On July 11, 1941, by executive order, the Office of COI, Coordinator of Information, was established. The coordinator himself, not surprisingly, was to be William J. Donovan. Roosevelt's wording of the executive order was deliberately vague, so as not to antagonize G2 or the FBI. But that vagueness also gave Donovan unprecedented freedom in creating his intelligence service. Later, when America entered World War II, the COI was incorporated into the military under a new name, Office of Strategic Services. In the early days of the OSS, it wasn't what you knew, but whom you knew. Donovan's mission was to create an agency whose methods, indeed its very existence, needed to be top secret. But in 1941, there were spies everywhere. Who could be trusted? He began by recruiting his friends, people he'd known for years, people who'd traveled with international contacts, fellow lawyers, bankers, business clients, club members, contacts he'd made from a lifetime of doing business among the wealthy and social elite. And those friends brought along their friends.
All the cute girls wanted to work for the OSS because all the cute guys were there. A lot of marriages were made, and more affairs were had. It was considered to be a very sort of chic thing to do, to belong to the OSS. There were Morgans and Vanderbilts and all sorts of society names. And it was romantic. There was a kind of elite esprit to serving in intelligence. It was dashing. And it became like a club.
Donovan set out to secure the best and the brightest for the COI. The name of the game was intelligence, and he scoured the country for what he considered to be good spy material. Smart, talented, self-assured individualists. Donovan's organization grew quickly. To his rivals like FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and General George V. Strong, commander of G2 Army Intelligence, it was much too quickly. But with Roosevelt's backing, Donovan couldn't be stopped. Among notable COI recruits were playwrights Archibald MacLeish, Robert Sherwood, writers Stephen Vincent Benet, Thornton Wilder, actors Sterling Hayden and Marlene Dietrich, director John Ford, and future cooking guru Julia Child. If the gravest predictions proved correct, America would be fighting a world war for stakes no less than freedom itself. She would need to muster every asset, every resource to that end. Donovan signed up geographers, historians, mathematicians, cartographers, scientists, botanists, and anthropologists to create complete profiles of countries and terrain where the U.S. might be fighting. He was shocked at the lack of solid intelligence available from G2 and the State Department, and came to rely heavily on his close association with William Stevenson, the head of Britain's secret intelligence service in North America, the SIS.
Stevenson had been sent to this country by Churchill to energize the British Secret Intelligence Service in the United States and to do everything possible to subvert German and Italian strength, business, commerce, not only in the United States, but also in Canada and throughout South America.
The British by this time were old hands at the espionage game. They'd been spying on friends and enemies alike for centuries. Donovan wanted to model his organization after SOE of Great Britain, which took a far more proactive approach to intelligence work by actively participating in sabotage and subversion, taking the war to the enemy. One of the first cooperative efforts between the COI and SIS was the interviewing of European refugees as they disembarked in America.
Wow. That is really interesting. I put the link in the description or in the chat room for you guys if you want to continue to watch it. Really good find. Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Stevenson plays a key role during that time in history. I would like to do two topics. I don't know when, if we can. I would like to do one on McCarthyism. I think that would be an interesting topic. And I think another one would be on, because they would all tie together, Tavistock. Did we lose John?
The McCarthy one is excellent.
Yeah, McCarthyism. I think that would be good. So
apparently we did lose him.
Okay, we did lose him. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. That man works more hours than I thought was possible. I do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, Hero. Thank you, Ann. Thank you to Big John, of course. And yeah, next week we'll be back and we'll be talking about Disney and further into the Nazi aspect of it as well. So thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone.
I want to thank everybody in our chat room for joining us tonight. I want to thank all of our moderators for all your help as always. And until next time, guys, remember, eyes open, no fear.